knowing that I've been given a great responsibility.
Okay, you're not Spider-Man though. Just stop posting videos.
Really needed Jesus. Behold our God.
What the fuck is happening?
As you know, God, it is almost the anniversary of September 11th, 2001.
A real human being in real life cannot be interrupting their own apology video to pray about 9/11. This cannot be real! Hello lovely people, my name is Emma. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome if you are new. Standing up energy. This is a video to celebrate me being right. It just seems to be a thing that when a celebrity gets in a certain amount of hot water, they're suddenly much more open and public about their spirituality and their faith and their relationship with God. I gotta give a big shout out to internet celebrity Gabbie Hanna for proving this theory correct once again. If you don't know who Gabbie Hanna is, me neither, really, to be honest. She's an American YouTuber, vlogger, which means that she is one of those people who's very famous, but I know nothing about and don't understand. I like my little bubble of skeptics and comedians on YouTube, and I don't intend to branch out, thank you very much. According to Google then, Gabrielle Jeanette Hanna is an American internet personality, singer-songwriter, author, actress, and YouTuber. I have actually heard at least one thing about Gabby, because my circle does contain a couple of authors, known I believe as booktubers, and Gabby released a book of poetry that did not get the most favourable reviews, including one by Rachel Oates, who Gabby responded to, which Savvy Writes Books then responded to, and those are two YouTubers that I actually know and like. I will try to sum up here why she had a big controversy and stopped posting on social media for a long time. As mentioned previously, I don't know nothing about no big American bloggers, so if you have anything that is not needlessly unkind and useful context to provide, please do so down below. In 2022, Gabby had a heavy posting period on TikTok where she was posting something like 100 videos in a day, talking about everything from death to religion, and allegedly also making racist comments. She said this was due to a manic episode caused by her bipolar disorder. She then stepped away from the public eye for a year or so for mental health reasons. So that sounds like basically old news if you're a Gabbie Hanna fan, and just sort of nothing if you're not, so why the heck am I talking about this? Why do I care enough to make a whole ass video? Because she's come back with an apology video. I don't care, you don't care. That is weirdly creepy and unnecessarily Christian. Ah, that sounds more like my content. YouTuber apology videos in general are some of the worst pieces of media to exist on any platform ever. They're not the worst. The worst apologies are by mediocre white men who have podcasts after they've said something racist. Those are the worst. Then it's like cringy white girl YouTuber apologies. The good news is there's no musical instruments in this one, excluding the human voice, because Gabby is a singer and she can't help herself. Let's just watch it and see what the heck is going on. Lovely background, using the popular YouTube apology technique of sort of, but I think this is pinched from documentaries where you have the opening be somebody coming into frame and sitting down and settling and getting ready. Don't know why, maybe it's supposed to be humanizing. It's a very calculated technique, in my opinion. I'm probably going to use that word a lot today. I feel like I owe a lot of people apologies. That sounds like part of being a famous content creator. Fire away then, Gabby. Hit us with the sorries.
I was difficult to work with. I took a lot of opportunities that I didn't deserve and also had no business doing. There were a lot of people who kind of, you know, practiced and trained and wanted some of those opportunities their whole lives, and I was able to do them with really little to no actual effort in that space. So also sorry to anybody who deserved the opportunity more than me.
This is a pretty weird start. Now, I'll take this comment at face value first. It's great to acknowledge a level of privilege in being able to skip some of the work that most people put in. Fine, but like, this isn't, I feel like I always need to explain this. There's a chair here. So whenever I look like I'm randomly leaning on air, there's a chair. I can't help I shift around a lot. I can't stand still. I can't stand still. This isn't something you really need to apologize for. It's very milquetoast, it's very bland. Like, I get being sorry for not being very nice to work with, but why would you apologize for taking opportunities presented to you? Something I've noticed with the old YouTube apologies, very often, oh actually this accounts for non-YouTuber apologies as well really, very often public apologies will start with something that you don't really need to apologize for. There's usually a level of fluff sort of almost burying the lead on the thing you're supposed to actually be sorry for. For example, when Shane Dawson did his big apology, he kind of conveniently left out some of the biggest things that he should have been apologising for, that were the most controversial, that people were the most upset about, just they weren't included in the apology. It's much easier to apologise for something that is basically harmless in the present day, and then people will go, you don't need to apologise for that, silly. You don't need to apologise for taking opportunities, Gabby. That's silly. You're so conscientious for thinking you need to apologise for that. I think it's a little bit of a tactic. Just noticed she's also wearing crucifix earrings. Calculated. Leave your theories as to the tactics behind my earring choices in the comment section down below.
And I also want to say sorry to anybody who feels like I used them or took advantage of them in any type of collaboration or work setting as well. Whether you helped me out with a project and didn't get your proper flowers or didn't pay you well or at all. A lot of times there was just like a collaboration basis, and I feel like I could have done better with hyping up people that I've worked with and showing appreciation.
Okay. Her choice to make these sweeping apologies is, I also think, very calculated. Again, it's much easier to say, hey, if anyone's ever been hurt by anything I've ever done, sorry, than to actually apologise for a specific thing to a specific person or community. Like, it's so non-specific that you don't really have to cop to anything. It's not like, at this event, I was rude to this person, and they didn't deserve that, so I am sorry. I took advantage of X person for views on YouTube. Because it's just generic, you don't know what she might have done. You don't know what the scale of things is. Has she done something quite bad that she's hinting at? Or is it just like, just covering her bases in case anyone's upset with her for any reason ever? Gosh, it's hard to explain. It's like when someone says, I'm sorry you felt that way, instead of like a real apology, because you don't have to acknowledge having done a thing. I think that's what it is. She's not sitting there going, I did this thing that was wrong. She's going, I might have done things in a vague sphere, it's lacking that acknowledgement, that responsibility. That's the problem, I think. She very briefly touches on maybe not having paid people appropriately, like compensated people appropriately for their work, and I'm just like, it's so vague. I'm like, hold on, Gabby, can we go back to that? Can we maybe specify, get some more details? Because that's the sort of thing that I am interested in and care about as a consumer and a creator, whether people are fairly compensated for their work or not. She moved so quickly onto like, maybe I didn't hype people up enough when I collabed with them, which again is something that you really don't need to apologise for. So she's covering with this fluff that people won't care about. Like, what is the context for this payment thing? Did she accept work from people that she didn't compensate them for? Or is it as harmless as it sounds? Like she collabed with people and maybe didn't, equally share her influence, which, something that doesn't really matter. We don't know because she's intentionally vague and far-reaching. Calculated.
Literally reading my notes, I was selfish, only cared about how I could benefit. Thank you. And I'm sorry.
This bit makes me uncomfortable because it feels like it's come from therapy. That's a wild guess, and I apologise if it's untrue. I just think that it sounds like the sort of thing that your therapist tells you to do to understand your feelings in a situation. Like writing out letters of apology, writing out your feelings is the kind of thing that a counsellor might suggest you do. Doing that is helpful for you, but the nature of it is kind of selfish, which is fine in the context of you working on yourself personally and understanding how you feel. As part of a public apology, it just highlights, ironically, the selfishness of the thoughts, which again, in a personal or therapeutic setting, perfectly fine. Everyone has selfish thoughts. You have to focus on yourself if you want to better yourself, but not probably what you want to air to the world or people you might have hurt in an apology.
I also want to say thank you and I'm sorry to all of my friends, past, present, who I dumped so much negativity on.
Sorry to all my friends. I'm sorry, guys. Can you ever forgive me? It's just very therapy. It's very counselling. It's like airing self-hating thoughts, but to the entire world. I'm going to skip ahead because I'm guessing that you and I don't care personally about Gabby potentially being a Debbie Downer to her friends. That feels so personal and like the sort of thing that I shouldn't know about her, so we're skipping ahead. She goes on to apologise for making a public spectacle of people through her storytime videos and similarly gossiping about people. She does not recognise the irony of airing all this dirty laundry in public. Like, right now. This is awkward, man. I feel like I'm stood in the corner of the counsellor's office just listening to Gabby talking about her feelings.
I genuinely have learned and grown in that area a lot.
They call me the therapy gremlin. Why did she film this facing the sun? The lighting is nice, but it's kind of undercut by having to shield her face from the light. It also hides her eyes, which, as we all know, are the windows to the soul. I am just kidding, by the way, in case you didn't know me better. She goes on to apologise to her family and people at home. You know, people that she could have given a real, actual, specific apology in real life, like a regular human being. Just over a cup of tea, a walk. You know, am I just old-fashioned? Or is it that people who made a career displaying most of their life online and on social media are sort of warped in their view of how human relationships should function? Maybe having built a career on social media quite young kind of made her view things differently. Like, maybe she just assumes that posting a public YouTube video to millions of people is the normal way to apologise, instead of, like, calling or visiting her family to apologise to them. If I was a family member of Gabby's and I saw this video, I would be fucking mortified. I'm so grateful to have never had a viral moment, especially as a young person. I genuinely think it warps minds. Gabby finally apologises to her fans, the only part, I think most of us would agree, that really needs to be in a public apology video on her YouTube channel. The people that she can't really reach via any other means. The people that are going to be watching this video that are affected, the fans. Again, she fills the apology with fluff, stuff that no one would ever expect an apology for, like inconsistent posting. Nobody cares about that. Here is where it finally gets interesting, though. She apologises for being a bad role model. This obviously would have been more impactful if she hadn't apologised for 500 pointless things before that, but fair enough. And she says she's been deleting a lot of her old videos, especially music videos and songs, for reasons such as profanity and immodesty. I remember one of my first writing sessions, somebody said to me, like, you can avoid swearing if you can help it. And I was like, no, I want to swear. I'm so edgy, and ignoring even, like, people telling me that I should, like, cover up more and stuff. Like, I wish I would have. Now, there's a lack of context here. But given that she started making music in her 20s, thank you, Google, that is interesting for us as consumers. It's not that she was particularly young, and therefore immodesty might have been problematic in that way. Someone, or multiple people in Gabby's life, were criticising her and telling her to cover up in her music videos. Because now here I am, 33 years old, embarrassed and having to delete a lot of work. Well, you don't have to. That's a choice that you're making. And that's fine. There's a little tinkly, sprinkly bit of misogyny in the way that she's talking about modesty, but, like, as long as she's talking about her personal feelings, she can do what she wants. Everything is just tuition at God University, time spent at God University, lessons learned. Okay. She apologises for her behaviour, for being vain and self-centred, and now her vague, sweeping apologies are causing a new problem. Because now we don't know, we can only assume that she's apologising for being immodest in the same breath as she's apologising for being selfish and hurting people, which certainly implies some very negative ideas about immodesty and controlling women's bodies, which in itself is very vague. I'm not a Gabbie Hanna fan, but I can't imagine she was doing music videos in, like, nothing but nipple tassels or something, you know? Like, how immodest was it? The vagueness is so menacing. Putting dressing a certain way on the same level and even giving it more emphasis than, like, hurting people and not paying them properly is just, to me, very worrying. Like, if I was a Gabbie Hanna fan and I heard all this, I'd be like, okay, I think we might differ on some important ethical and moral things that might affect my viewing of her work. I have this sort of constant battle, like, literally always, of, like, can I disappear into nothing and just, like, exist, you know, in the woods? You can, though. You just can. You can delete your social media and carry on with your life. What she means is, should I, when I have access to so much financial gain via the platforms that I have already? And that would be fine to consider. We all need money, but she just never acknowledges it. Knowing that I've been given a great responsibility that I already fumbled and misused, and needing to use that responsibility more wisely. Okay, you're not Spider-Man, though. Just stop posting videos. Why is mainstream YouTube like this? It just frustrates me for somebody with so much fame to be so small-minded in their concerns about the ethics of what they're doing, in the sense that, like, how much good could a person with 5 million followers do if they get their head out their ass for a minute? Realistically, unless you're wearing t-shirts with particularly aggressive sweary slogans on them, what you're wearing and having swear words in your music is just not affecting the world in a particularly meaningful way. Maybe it's important to you, but I just think it's kind of a shallow waste of time. What I'm saying is, I'm a better person than Gabbie Hanna. No, I'm just kidding, but I do have a relevant sponsor for today that I really am excited to share with you. I know some of you skip the spawn bit, and that is okay, but please stick with me for this one for just a minute. I was recently approached by Bono. Not that Bono. Bono is in pro bono. It's a digital service that helps make charitable donations incredibly transparent and simple. Before we set up the sponsorship, I spoke directly with the company and found that our ethics really aligned on a lot of the things that matters, as well as just providing a good service for consumers. I also hyped you guys up a lot. Like, I feel like this is a very caring and conscientious audience. So you're welcome. If you've donated to any causes before, you've probably found that it is usually a logistical nightmare. I usually do. You have to use 5 different platforms. Every separate platform has its own fees. Some of them update you on your impact by post, some of it's yearly, some of it's by email quarterly. It's a mess, and you've got 5,000 separate tax receipts. All I want to do is support the causes I care about in an actually impactful way and have transparency about the difference I'm making. With Bono, you just tell them what your causes are, you give them your budget, which can be anywhere from $5, and they select the best, most trusted, transparent charities to help your cause. Your donations get pulled with everybody else's, and those go directly to the charity. Then you get a weekly impact update. You also get a prediction on your year's impact. My main questions for the company revolved around how the charities are chosen, and I was really happy with Bono's process. They have an in-house team of experts who choose the most legitimate and trustworthy charities. Plus, they work with third-party experts and industry professionals, and they constantly monitor the impact of these charities. Here is my profile. One of my causes is protecting LGBTQ+ well-being. Bono has chosen 3 excellent charities: Lambda Legal, the Trevor Project, and Outright International, all of which do great work that I really want to support, so being able to do that all just by a couple of button presses on the same app is brilliant for me. My other causes are Save Mother Nature and Fight Climate Crisis. You know how important all of these things are. If you guys want to join me on Bono, I would be super grateful. I'm also able to share with you in a week or two the impact that we've had collectively as a community, which I think is really cool. I have never been this excited about a sponsor before. I know a lot of you really want to support some of these brilliant causes. Please check it out using the link down below. Tell Bono which causes you want to support, what your budget is. Even $5 a month really does make an impact. What's more, the first 50 people who use my code EMMA5OFF will get the first $5 on the house. I'm really excited to come back to you soon with our shared impact. Let's make it as big as we can. Check out the link down below. Let's see what we can do.
I need help, like something to make it so that I can be consistent, because I don't have the greatest executive functioning. In fact, I have impaired executive functioning, and I'm trying to figure out how to do it.
In some ways, I get this. I also find it difficult to keep on top of providing what I consider to be the best service I can, especially on things like Patreon. My personal executive dysfunction, as we are calling it, makes it hard for me to keep on top of certain things like that. As anyone who has messaged me on Patreon will probably know, because sometimes a reply comes the same day, often it comes 3 weeks later. Thank you and I'm sorry. So I understand. But I also kind of don't care. And I'm not trying to be mean here, because I do empathise. I just mean, like, she was just talking about whether or not she could stop posting and disappear into the woods. Like, if it was that much of a problem and having that much of a negative impact on her life, and it wasn't really sustainable for her to keep up and provide a good service, just stop. Just shut down your Patreon. I've done things like adjusted my tiers and rewards. My channel subscriber rewards are really tiny. I only have 1 low tier, because I know that I have executive dysfunction and, you know, limited time, and I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. You can do that. I've adjusted my work to manage my difficulties in that area. It's the unspoken thing again. Money. I'm so sorry to the patrons. I don't know if I should keep making videos. The reason it's a question, or even a large part of the question, is because those people give you money. And that's fucking lovely, and it's fine. Because as weird as it is, being an influencer is a job in 2024. What a world we live in. But it is a job, and so getting compensation from people who want to support you is perfectly fine. If you don't want to stop doing that job because you enjoy the money that it provides you, or because you would have to significantly adjust your lifestyle now if you stopped having that stream of income, just say that. Stop dancing around it like this weird unspoken thing, like some big ethical dilemma to do with the responsibility of having 5 million followers on YouTube. It's so freaking weird.
An endless just stream of like work and content, but it was also dumb and bad and meaningless, and that's why it was so easy to churn it out.
So stop making content. If your content was dumb and bad, you can't keep up with your Patreon, and you're hoping to go offline and disappear into the woods, just stop making the content. She's been offline for like a year. Apparently she's been teaching exercise classes and stuff like that. So just, you don't have to make videos just because you have 5 million subscribers. Plenty of content creators just naturally stopped or vastly reduced the videos they made because their careers were going in another direction. They just weren't interested in it anymore for any various reasons. She doesn't have to keep posting, so why is it this crazy dilemma? Unless it's about money right now. But she won't say that. God!
And also I was an NPC because I did not have the Holy Spirit in me.
That is one of the funniest things I've ever heard an evangelical say. Now, if you're not a hashtag gamer girl like me, don't even worry, I'll bring you up to speed. An NPC is a non-playable character, or a non-player character. It refers to a person in a video game that is not you, you don't control. People who give you quests, people who sell you things in shops, somebody who used to be like you until they took an arrow to the knee. It's taken on more mainstream usage recently, especially on social media, to kind of refer to a person who is like not really fully in it, you know, who is basically not acting as the main character in their life. Not living their lives to the fullest, I guess. It's kind of the opposite of main character syndrome, which I'd argue is a hilarious thing for a famous YouTuber to say in an apology video, because that is main character syndrome to a T. The religious implication here is amazing too, right? Because Gabby has always been a Christian. It's not that she didn't have the Holy Spirit in her before because she wasn't religious, it's that she wasn't the right kind of Christian. She wasn't Christian enough in the right specific kind of way, such as covering up more of her skin. I don't know. I'm still not sure what her definition of modesty is, because she's wearing a really large scoop neck in this video, which I think is fine, but I'm trying to reconcile what she means by having the Holy Spirit in her and being appropriately modest. If you're not the right type of Christian, you don't have the Holy Spirit in you, you're an NPC in your own life. I'm okay with this because I actually am an NPC. As soon as the video finishes, I just shut down. I blink out of existence until my next social media appearance. That is true NPC behavior.
Really needed Jesus. Behold our God, seated on his throne. Come, let us adore him. Behold our King.
What the fuck is happening? So Gabby breaks into a hymn for a while, and then just looks back at her notes like, right, sang about God. What's next? This is the behaviour of a lunatic. I don't mean an unwell person, I mean the monster from Dragon Quest. I'll be honest, I wrote that line because we've been talking about NPCs and I wanted to make a video game joke. If it's inappropriate, you can tell me off for it down below. No, but really, there's doing this and thinking it's a good idea in the moment, breaking into this God song, and then there's going through the editing and the upload process and still choosing to leave it in. I really don't know what to say about this part. I kind of feel like it was a fever dream. I'm worried I'll look back at the video in editing and it won't actually have happened.
Oh, speaking of Behold Our God, I want to record a cover of that.
Suddenly this makes much more sense. It's a plug. It's a tease for future content. This leads directly into an apology for, I guess, her merch store being slow and inefficient.
I want to record a cover of that, and I also have to say thank you and I'm sorry to anybody who's literally ever ordered from Look Design.
Okay, I get it. If you're a little ADD, you can get distracted in the middle of a thought and go off on a complete different tangent. Follow me at Little Duck Gaming for first-hand examples. And also suddenly bursting into song. I am pretty guilty of that too, if I'm going to be honest. I don't want to die on account of all the crap I've done. But the speed at which she goes from God is great to sorry about my online store is hilarious. Girl, there's editing. You've been doing this how many years? You have a well-honed post-production process. Why is the video like this?
I'm trying so hard.
I just don't get it. I'm sorry for repeating myself, but Gabby is, so I kind of have to respond to it. Like, she said the same thing with the I'm trying so hard with Patreon. But she's also said multiple times that she doesn't know if she should even carry on doing social media, that it's bad for her mental health, that her content was bad and dumb, that she's having to delete loads of stuff. She was a terrible role model, all the stuff that she said. Like, just shut down the store. If it's really that hard, like, figure it out or get rid of it. The like, I'm trying so hard, I'm gonna do better, I've learned so much, throughout this video makes the parts where she's talking about coming off of social media and stopping making videos like so disingenuous. And I don't even think it is. I think those are genuine concerns of hers, but she's sort of treating it like she can't, like she knows she's not going to stop, but part of her wants to. It's just very bizarre to have, again, in a public video that claims to be it's just weird, man. Have this conversation with your family and friends offline. I beg you to touch some grass. She's even touching grass. She's touching grass right now and she still can't do it. She can't tear herself away from blasting all of this self-centered, self-serving, again, which is fine, just nonsense into the public sphere.
I promise I'm gonna do better. Each time does get better. I know it's still bad, but it is getting better and I'm trying to be more consistent.
How many times does one make this promise before giving up? After expressing repeated interest in giving up? I just don't get it, dude.
Like, I look back at so many situations and I just feel embarrassed and I feel shame.
That's okay, those emotions are valid and healthy.
But then I remember there is no condemnation or shame in Christ and that I've been wiped clean.
Then what the fuck are you making an apology video for? This is gonna be one of the weirder, more controversial things I've said. No one can accept an apology on anyone else's behalf. Even Jesus. I couldn't accept Gabby's apology to her fans, because I am not one of them. I couldn't accept her apology to people she's worked with or her family, because I am not one of those people that is affected. Neither can Jesus! I've always enjoyed the sort of weird get-out-of-jail-free card that the Abrahamic religions like this offer, and other mainstream religions too. You can do anything, like literally anything, much worse than anything Gabbie Hanna's ever done. But then if you let Jesus into your heart, then to quote Gabby, your slate is wiped clean. If you believe that, then okay, fine, but what are you doing here making an apology to us, the random people in the world that have chosen to click on your video because of how famous you are? If Jesus has taken away all your sin, why are you sitting here talking about how ashamed you feel? It's some religion.
But I do want to say that if there's anybody out there who feels like they owe me an apology, or feels like maybe they did me dirty a little bit, if we had an interaction or an altercation of any type, I just want you to know I forgive you too.
Okay. Interesting. What a thing to add to an apology video. I have never seen that before. Hey, by the way, if any of you guys want to apologize to me, that'd be cool too. No? Guys, how can you forgive someone who hasn't apologized to you for a specific thing? This is what I just don't get about apologizing in public video format, right? She just blanket accepts an apology from anyone, anywhere who might want to give one. That's weird, right? Am I weird? Gabby, I'm really sorry about that one time I stole your bread. It was me, I stole it. I saw it out on the side and I really wanted some bread. So I stole the bread and I fed it all to a magpie and the magpie exploded. I've just been feeling really ashamed about that and I wanted to apologize.
I love literally everyone.
Even Hitler? Okay, I'm being facetious to prove a point here. This is very like, I'm making being a Christian my entire identity now. Of course you don't love everyone. You shouldn't. I love people as a collective. I think human beings are generally good and worthy of respect and second chances and blah 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 blah. Do I love everyone? Fuck no! There are Nazis out there! I hope that bad people will change. I want the best for them because I want what's best for everyone, but I don't love them. That's fucking weird.
I love you all.
I don't want your love, Gabby. You're being very clingy right now.
I forgive everybody because my God, Jesus Christ, loved me and forgave me when I did not deserve it and before I even asked, so.
Theology question. If Jesus forgave you before you even asked for forgiveness, how come you didn't have the Holy Spirit in you before, when you were an NPC?
I could not hold any unforgiveness in my heart.
I wasn't sure about the word unforgiveness, so I googled it and it seems like basically every usage of it I can see is a Christian one. So I guess that makes sense. I still don't get it though. This just like blanket forgiving everyone permanently. Like maybe someone is thinking about stabbing me, but I Forgive them in advance. What are you talking about? For me, it's one of those religious things that sounds nice but doesn't have any actual practical meaning. It just makes people feel good about themselves.
Whether that's friends, family, colleagues, enemies.
Okay, ignoring the enemies part. I'd like to remind Gabby that she can contact those people and forgive them in person, in real life.
Either way, I want to say a quick prayer.
Okay, she's going to take a quick break from filming to say a prayer. That's a little odd, but fine.
As you know, God, it is almost the anniversary of September 11th, 2001.
Oh my god. This can't be real. This can't be real, dude! A real human being in real life cannot be interrupting their own apology video to pray about 9/11. This cannot be real!
Well, a lot of us, many of us, remember where we were. It changed our perspective. It changed the way we traveled. It changed the way we looked at each other, the way we communicated.
Yeah, 9/11 really was all about you, Gabby. This is so fucking strange. There's not much to say about this. I'll spare you listening to too much of it because it is very weird and uncomfortable and creepy. And she basically says that all tragedy, including 9/11, happens because people choose not to serve God, which is ironic, given she's talking about a terror attack literally done in the name of God.
God, I don't understand what you're doing.
Me neither, Gabby. Me neither. Seems sinister, though.
But I trust you fully.
That's where we diverge, both in morals and logic, I suppose. See, for me, if the Christian God is real, a la whatever version of the Bible we're supposed to accept, whatever modern canon is supposed to be, the King James Bible, even though it's all fucking wrong. Whatever, if we accept that this version of the Christian God is real, I think he's evil and horrible and I would not worship him. I think I would probably reject any deity that required worship, because there's something inherently self-serving and egocentric about that, and I don't think you could be an all-loving God and require worship. As a rule, I also don't blindly follow just things that I don't understand. To believers like Gabby, that is seen as a good thing, blind faith, blind obedience, and for me that is one of, if not the biggest problem with the Abrahamic religions.
I trust that those lost who put their faith in you are in heaven with you now, Lord.
Awkward, because there's the unspoken part. What about the other people? What are you hoping for the people that didn't have the exact right faith? Even the people like you that were Christians but were NPCs because they hadn't fully accepted the Holy Spirit or something. What are you hoping happened to those people? Can you say it? Because you're implying it without having to directly address it, which is a great way to avoid the responsibility of the darker aspects of your faith. I know I'm being quite harsh here, but I think if a person is advocating for, and personally and publicly, putting blind faith in a thing that they don't understand, they should be able to, even if they do understand it or claim to, they should be able to defend the most difficult moral positions. They should be able to defend the hardest moral questions, or at least think about them and acknowledge them. I think that's really important.
I pray that peace over everybody listening to this right now.
I love a bit of intercessory prayer. Christians been studying it for a long time and it continually provably does not work.
I pray that you knock the arrogant leaders of our world today to their knees. I pray that you shake them hard with revelation and the fear of God.
All-loving God has to dominate via fear so that people will follow him without question. Imagine if I paused this video to beg Satan to make people afraid. There would be an uproar. People would be furious. It's exactly the same thing here, except Satan has never committed genocide.
I pray, God, for the whole world to join in one body.
My lovely people much better than you have been praying for this exact thing for 2,000 years. Why would you think you can make a difference this way? Prayer doesn't do anything. Within reason. Intercessory prayer doesn't do anything. Intercessory prayer is praying on other people's behalfs, by the way. That's how studies have been done on it, because you can have control groups where people know they're being prayed for versus people who don't. So you can see whether it's, psychological things that are helping them, they feel cared for, versus the hand of God actually doing something. Prayer for personal reasons, praying to get calm, perspective, personal strength. Personally, I think part of that is a placebo effect, but it doesn't matter. It can still really help people, make them feel better, make them feel closer to God. That's all fine. Intercessory prayer, as I say, is provably ineffective. You cannot help people by praying for them unless you're in an intimate relationship and you know they're faithful and they would feel better, again, via that sort of placebo or just comfort effect of having you pray for them. Everybody getting together in my dad's church and praying for me to do well in my exams does not affect real life, as some of my exam results would prove. Realistically, especially on a scale like this, like praying for basically peace on earth, you cannot help people by praying for them. You do good by doing good, or helping people who do good. This insanely long prayer section of this YouTuber apology video, what are we doing in the world right now, guys, please? This is effectively as good as saying, gosh, I hope the world gets better, but convincing yourself that because it is a spiritual activity, that it means enough to make you feel good about yourself. That's the self-serving aspect of a lot of these religious beliefs. Not everybody religious is like this, obviously, but a lot of them are, and that's one of the things that I really don't like. Making yourself feel good just based on what ancient selection of texts you choose to believe in, the nice building that you attend once a week, sitting down and thinking about how shit the world is and hoping that it's better. None of those things are doing any good for the world. You should not feel self-satisfied and good about yourself and calm and let go of shame and all this just because you've sat there and thought, I hope things get better. Anyway.
And you promise to be a shield and a protector and a guide.
Fucking brilliant job he's doing too. Do you know last year around 5,000 Christians were persecuted and killed for their faith? Where was that shield then? I'm aware that in this section, because of the nature of the conversation we're having, I'm being kind of the stereotypical angry atheist, even though most of you will recognise that I'm not actually angry, I'm just passionate, but we know certain people will see that and see somebody who is just angry and bitter and hates God because the world is difficult and they don't understand that he has a plan and blah blah blah. I want to make it clear that I don't have faith in God because there is no evidence for his existence, which subsequently makes me increasingly aware of the flaws, the misunderstandings, the mistranslations, the additions made by later scribes, the books that have definitely the wrong author attributed to them, an author whose authority we're using to say that this is, you know, the word of God. All the contradictions and misunderstandings around the text that Christians take as gospel, if you'll pardon the pun. I usually try not to go too deep into the feelings I have on the morality and the ethics and blah 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 on this and that about God, or whatever God of the religion that I'm discussing, because my approach, and the approach that I think is best when you're having any kind of skeptical conversation, is that it doesn't matter really what we feel about it. It doesn't matter whether something is a good moral lesson or not if there is no evidence that the thing is actually true. The hypocrisy and the shallowness of publicly posting a long-ass, nonsensical prayer in the middle of an apology video is, I guess, drawing out my base negativity around prayer and evangelism, you know, in combination with inaction and selfishness. So I'm sorry about that. And also, I forgive you for some reason.
Thank you for the discipline that I needed to be the woman I am today.
Thank you for the discipline. At the end of a video where she apologised literally to millions of people for a huge array of things. Unhinged. Actually unhinged. Let's cut to the chase here. This is not an apology. This is a non-apology. It's way too vague. It mixes the potentially serious with the unimportant in a way that means that you don't know what she's actually done or should be apologising for. It's intentionally stuffed with fluff. It's also rife with, I am a good person because Jesus forgave me, which is a brilliant way to avoid accountability. This is very silly. No one should be watching this taking this seriously, except maybe somebody who's close to Gabby from the perspective of a person who can convince her that she should not do this. This sort of thing is not a good idea to make public. Maybe that's just my opinion. I mean, it's a YouTube apology that interrupts itself to pray about 9/11. Like, based on that and what she said about her social media usage in the past, how her mania can affect that, which again is not her fault, but is something that she should think about mitigating if she is going to try and make a career of doing this. Personally, I just don't think she should. She's said enough times that she wishes she could disappear into the woods, that she doesn't even know if she should be doing this as a career. So just once again, just don't. Just stop. If she is genuinely happier and in a better place and, you know, she's found all this goodness in her life since she's been away from social media, and she returns to social media with something that should not be on social media, let's leave it at that for politeness sake, I think she should back out now. Like, back it up. Maybe carry on making music, you know? Maybe, if you're already an author, an actor, a musician, like, that's a lot of jobs to do, man. That's a lot of jobs, bro. You can carry on doing some of those things without putting all of your life in the public eye. If it's hurting you, if it's making bad, irresponsible content, literally just stop doing it. At the very least, Gabby wasn't able to see this at any point in the process. Recording, editing, posting. Gabby wasn't able to see that this is creepy, way too vague, doesn't take any accountability, and is just generally cringe and awful and creepy. The fact that she wasn't able to see that reason alone, I don't know if she should be posting content. Well, let me know your thoughts down below. I thought this was interesting anyway, and people were talking about it because of the modesty thing and the weirdly Christian this is, and I think that's fair to call it weirdly Christian because it didn't need to be, it wasn't relevant. The Christianity is just sort of hammed in there in a very strange way. I thought you would enjoy kind of going over it with me, and it's a great example of the YouTuber apology. If another YouTuber does an apology and it's big news, you can just sort of refer back to this video and be like, oh yeah, I don't need to worry about that. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do like this video if you liked it. Share it with a pal. Why not? I mean, I don't know. Do consider subscribing if you haven't already. If you like what I do here and you would like to support that, the best thing you can do for me right now, for all of us, is to sign up to Bono. Grab that $5 with the code if you can. Pick some great causes to donate to. I'm so excited to see what we can do as a community. You can also become a channel member here. You get some little emotes, as I described earlier. There's also the Patreon. With that, I must give a big thank you and a shout out to my giant quackers. That's not right. My giant chickens and colossal quackers over on Patreon. Especially Conla. God damn it, Conla. Most importantly, have yourself a very lovely week. If you have had a disagreement recently with a friend or a member of your family, please, for the love of God, talk to them about it in person instead of posting a viral video on the internet. Thank you.